You recognize me, Shannon Ace Naylor here, but I'm not here with the Checkered Flag Talk Show today. I'm here with Officer Carl Miller. We have got a great story here over at TV8 right now. Carl Miller is actually in the running for the America's Most Wanted All-Stars. Let's give a little history lesson on Carl Miller. He started out in the construction business. Went from construction, graduated in 2001 from the Napa Valley Police Academy, decided to become a police officer. How you doing, man? Thanks for coming out here.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Hey,
glad to be here.
Yeah, so in a little while, we're going to get to the America's Most Wanted All-Star information and all that good stuff. But right now, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about how you became an officer and what a transition that was for you from being a construction worker to an officer.
Yes, it was. I went through my midlife crisis career change at about 40 years old. I was raising two boys at the time. I had raised them for about 14 to 15 years, and I knew that construction was not going to be something that could be a lifelong career. I decided to be law enforcement because after talking to several relatives and other people in the law enforcement community, it sounded like it would be my calling, where I could give back to the community. So I put myself through the Napa Valley Police Academy at night, raised my kids and did my business during the day, and came up to Clearlake and been here for over 8 years now.
So did you get posted up here in Clearlake, or is this where you wanted to go? Or how does that work? Do they tell you when you get done where you're going to be stationed?
Actually, I had 3 other possibilities, and Clearlake was number 4, but when I came up here and I saw Lake County, the decision was made, this is where I was going to call home.
Right on. So something else you did too that was cool, you were an actual school resource officer.
I was.
Tell us a little bit about that experience and where that was at.
That was in 2007. That was 9 schools, about 6,000 kids.
Wow.
And I was busy that year. Developed a lot of good relationships with the kids that now are young adults and carry those friendships to this day.
Right on, right on. So another cool thing you've been involved with. You've been involved with quite a bit as far as volunteering for the community. One of the things you did is tip a cop, and that's for Special Olympics. Tell us a little bit about that experience and what tip a cop entails.
Tip a cop is where we actually are waiters at Main Street Cafe, and we do it for the Special Olympics every year, and we take orders and donate all the money.
Right on. They just had the polar plunge, actually.
I heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah. You didn't want to take part in that, huh? Jump into.
Not this year. We'll try that next year, though.
Cool. And
possibly.
So, you also do a lot of things for kids. Let's talk a little bit about that. Something with the preschools and other stuff.
Yes, I read to preschoolers. I do presentations.
That is really awesome.
Whenever I'm requested at any school. I do. Secret Santas, I do Thanksgiving giveaways, whatever the schools ask for, I seem to be the person that's always there.
Wow, Secret Santa. No, what's the Secret Santa all about?
Well, my girlfriend and I came up with a family this last December that I saw needed something, or they would have nothing. And so we took money out of our own account, and with the help of the POA, and we made a Christmas for a family of 5, and they thought Santa Claus brought all the presents and didn't know that law enforcement was involved.
That is so awesome. I was here. I remember I was working that night, and we helped Jed and I. Yeah, we helped pack in our tech here. We helped pack in some of the presents. There was quite a bit of them. That was a really awesome thing. You guys do that every year?
Yes, we do.
Sweet. Right on. So you have something else you do called Senior Dreams?
Yes, at Orchard Park in Clearlake, it's an assisted living facility. We had a couple ex-law enforcement officers. They were in their 90s, and they had the opportunity to have one dream. And 2 of them wanted to just go on a ride-along and be with law enforcement for a day. So we made arrangements to deputize them, so to speak. Gave them IDs, hats, T-shirts, and had them go out to lunch with us and go on calls for service with me for a day, and they really enjoyed it. And since then, those 2 gentlemen have passed, but their families were very appreciative of the time that we took to allow them to do that one more time.
I imagine so, and that's so awesome, because that leaves a legacy. That's something that the family's never going to forget, and
Yeah.
that's just a really awesome thing. Another thing, we're talking about kids, and I wanted to kind of touch on this a little bit. The youth in the community. What are some of the things that? Do you have anything planned for that, or what are some of the things that the community can get together and do to keep these kids off the street?
Well, we don't want to keep them off the street, so to speak. We want to be able to have.
Sorry, probably a bad choice of words. Yeah.
Well, I can rephrase
for
that.
lack of better words, yes.
Resources.
Resources.
I mean, every town, we're limited in resources, and it always seems to be that it's the things that the kids need to stay out of trouble that we need to have available for them the most. The skate park's a great place. When it was only for skateboards, we were able to talk to the council and have other days where the bicyclists can go. You know, I talked to a lot of the kids because of my communications through the schools with them, and they call me Pops. It's a big secret, you know, that none of the administrators or their parents call me that, but when it's just me and them, they call me Pops, though I always hear, hey Pops, and I try to ask them or figure out what they do or what their dreams are or aspirations. And with a couple of the kids that I've had in the past, I was able to secure employment for them, you know, in lieu of them getting in any more trouble. I don't like doing the part of taking children, putting them through the court system. It's the last resort that I possibly would ever want for a child. So I do try to find alternatives, and I've been very fortunate that I've had the resources to do that.
That is so cool, man. Right on. Another thing that you guys have here, and many police departments have, but you guys have a very unique one, in my opinion, is you have an Explorer program.
Yes.
I've been out there and I've seen some of the Explorers. They do a lot of volunteering in the community and help with a lot of the events. Tell us a little bit about that.
The Explorer program, I'm really don't know a lot about it. I do know that it's for ages, I think, approximately 13 to 19 years old. I might be off a year or so. But these kids are allowed to come in. They attend classes for criminal justice, learn the basic laws, but their most important job assignment that we do give them is mostly on holidays. We'll have them walk the carnivals, you know, for the 4th of July, help us with the Christmas festivities that we have over at Austin Park, and any other type of volunteer work that we can find for them. They love putting on the hats. These are all kids that eventually want to go into law enforcement, and it's a real feather in their cap when they're able to put that on a resume that they were, you know, affiliated with a police department prior to going to college.
Right on. That's really cool, man. Here's something else I wanted to ask you is, you know, Clearlake crime rate. What do you see? Do you see that? What do you see going on with that right now?
To tell you the truth, 9 years ago, it was busy.
It's calmed down a lot, I've noticed.
Oh,
myself.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely, undeniably. We still have a very poor community, and with the poor community, we don't have resources. So we are, and with the employment rate and no industry up here, it's unfortunate that we do have crime. I feel that, you know, over time, especially from 9 years ago to today, it's went down immensely. I have got to know most of the town and have been able to gain a lot of people's respect. So when I go out on calls for service, I'm finding that I'm not having to necessarily take people to jail, but I'm able to bring a resolution to whatever problems happen just by the relationships that I've developed over the years.
Yeah, and those relationships have got you some national attention, which I'd like to talk about right now. Is you are involved with America's Most Wanted, not in a bad way. You're not wanted, but America's Most Wanted All-Stars. Tell us about that, and how did you get? More importantly, how did you get picked for that? Who nominated you, and how did you get picked for that?
I have a special person in my life. Her name is Kimberly Kent. She is my best friend. She's my advisor. She hears some of the stories of of what I've accomplished. And when she helped me with Secret Santa, she said, you know, this sounds just like something that maybe other people would like to know about. Her brother, who works for the Shasta Sheriff last year, was also an All-Star. He ultimately came in third place, so they got together and made a small synopsis of my accomplishments. And the next thing I know, I'm being contacted by Fox, and with the chief's approval, I was able to be nominated and go online with this special event as a nominee.
Wow, and so what are some of the things that you get to do? And one of them I understand is, which is close to my heart, being an announcer and talk show host, the only racing, you get to go to Charlotte, right?
Well, that's for the ultimate winner.
If you get it.
That would be amazing, but that's not even what being a nominee was for the win. Yes, you can win $10,000, you can spend a week in Charlotte at a sprint car race, but when you see the 100 nominees and the hundreds of thousands of law enforcement officers, just to be a nominee is enough. A weekly finalist, you get a duffel bag with a bunch of America's Most Wanted gear. That would be nice, but to tell you the truth, that's not why I'm in this. There are so many other police officers and paramedics and firefighters that are so much more, how can I say, qualified. I'd like to just put out that I just happen to be nominated, and I'm hoping that my presence is part of the Clearlake presence, and it puts Clearlake on the board. So people will know who Clearlake is, and hopefully I represent Clearlake as a positive thing.
I really think you do, and just in my conversation with you and my conversation with other people, I deal with kids in the community as far as the kids that race. And there's kids that know you, and the funny story about Pops is that when I mentioned that you were going to be on there, they said, "Oh, Pops," you know. So I'm glad you mentioned that, because I was gonna I had heard that name mentioned before. How did you get that nickname?
Well, you know, when I was in the schools and you got so many kids, it's like Officer Miller, or, you know, Police Officer Miller, or Carl Miller. They could have called me all those things, but why not have one little secret word that the kids could use to make it more personal, our relationship? So why not call me Pops? I mean, I'm quite a bit older than them, a little bit more gray than them, and by using the word Pops, it gave them the opportunity to approach me, not just in a law enforcement aspect, but to be able to tell me, you know, their problems or any of their questions, or any kind of suggestions of, you know, their home life, or you know, other things that concern them.
Someone to talk to. Basically, you know, just a person being there to listen. I think that's really awesome. So back on the America's Most Wanted All-Stars, let's you have a little yes, let's get a close-up on that if we can. A really awesome picture of Carl Miller there. Vote for your All-Star. Where can they go to do that? Do you know the website name?
Yes, it's actually www. America's Most Wanted All-Stars, and once you get on that, you can search for nominees, and you'll see me in one of 100, I think, actual nominees, and you can click on my face, and it will have you go ahead and vote. You can vote with your email, and they have a little secret code at the bottom. You can vote once a day per email every day until April 10th.
That is really awesome. And of course, those of you who are watching live, you can actually call in 707-994-8201, extension 109, if you have any questions for Officer Miller here. Again, that's 707-994-8201, extension 109. So back on the questions for you, one thing I wanted to talk to you about also is you know, what do you think about all this here? We have this TV8 station. We're right next door to you guys.
Well, I was walking through the other night, and I'm going, well, maybe I should contact these guys. They might be interested. It's a short story. It's maybe something that can go out to the community. It's not about the votes. It's more about the recognition for the city of Clearlake. we could have any of our officers in here right now doing the same thing I'm doing and be able to represent Clearlake like I'm doing. I was just fortunate enough to have somebody that nominated me and get nominated, and this is for the city of Clearlake. This is for the citizens of Clearlake, and as long as everybody knows who we are at the end of this, then you know, our mission has been accomplished.
Right on, man. Well, hey, again, one last chance for people to call in if they'd like to. 707-994-8201, extension 109. Nonetheless, you're going to be able to see this on YouTube by tomorrow night. Go to the Checkered Flag Talk Show's YouTube at youtube.com/checkeredflagshow1. Thank you so much for being on the show, man. I enjoyed this little segment with you. Oh, we have a caller. I believe we have a caller. Hello, you're on the air with the Checkered Flag Talk Show.
Hi, Carl. I wish you luck. This is Councilmember Spittler.
Hi, Jerry. How are you?
Jerry Spittler.
Hi, thank you. I'm sitting here watching you cracking up, so I thought I'd just give you the shout out to tell you good luck, and I like what you do with all the kids. The kids in this community really do love you, and that's really the connection that we need with the community, and I appreciate that so much. So I wish you all the best, and I've been clicking on vote every day.
Keep voting.
Keep voting. Use different emails if you have to. If you have to, make different emails during the week. And no, I'm just kidding. Jerry Spittler, who does a lot for kids, also who I've also had on my show. She wrote in on her bike, and she does does a very unique program for the kids. You may already know about. Tell us a little bit about that real quick, Jerry. I'm not sure if he's heard of that. He may already know.
Well, thanks, Ace. It's the give and take program.
Yes.
And we've connected now with Jeff Dixon at the high school, and we're working with Kanaka Unified School District now. So we're beginning to connect the dots, and we're really excited about it. And it's a project to create incentives for our young to get active in the community and fill in these volunteer positions and get some job skills and experience, and while connecting with their community and taking part in that. So we're really excited about it, and we're looking for sponsors so that we can offer this Love Gallery, and they can go in, and as they're achieving hours, they can go to the gallery and pick these neat things. A lot of these kids don't have a lot, and this creates the incentive, and it's a great project. We're pretty excited about it. Thank you, Ace, for mentioning that. But hey, truly, I hope everybody votes for Carl. He really has brought that personal thing to our kids, and he's not used to talking about himself. He really is, and he's humble. And I'm sitting here watching him, and I know that feeling. I remember it so well the first time being in front of cameras and trying to talk about myself, because it just feels funny to talk about yourself sometimes, but I'll talk about you for you. You're a good guy, and I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for everything you do for these kids, and I'll let you get back to your show, Ace. Carl, good luck.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you so much for calling, Jerry.
I'm very humbled by that. Thank you.
Good night.
Yes, I want to say that too. I noticed that too tonight. You are very humble, and it's been very awesome having you on the show. Again, we're gonna one more time. We'll take one more call. 707-994-8201, extension 109. If you have questions for Carl, I don't know. I would be flooding the phones right now. It's a really good thing, and more importantly, give out the website one more time before we go.
It's www.americasmostwantedallstars.com.
Hey, vote for this guy, folks. All right, thank you so much for watching.
You know what? Ace, ask him about his childhood. You know, is an officer something you want to be when he was a kid, stuff like that? You know, where he grew up and things.
Oh yeah, I guess we can do that. I think Jed should be part of our.
All right, Jed.
Our camera tech had a question for us today.
I can go ahead and answer that, and I'll try to keep it as short as possible. Beautiful family. I was raised around horse racing and rodeos and fairs. My dad was a director racing for Western Fairs. Beautiful childhood. I raised two boys when they were 4 and 9 years old. Now the one is 19 years old, going to Santa Rosa next year. He'll be at Cal Poly. I have another son that is on the USS Carl Vinson aircraft carrier. They are currently, I can't say specifically, but it's in an area of the Middle East where there is going to probably be a no-fly zone here real quick. I love him to death. He was a local boy that grew up and graduated from high school here. And did I think about being a police officer? I became a police officer because I knew I could change the community, or attempt to, and that I could give back. I had a lot to give back, and and this is my way of doing it. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah, that was a really good question, Jed. Do you have anybody, any kids in any of your sons, anybody in your family that want to be officers or follow in your footsteps?
They've made mention of it. I might be the only one. They are going to, well, Brandon's staying in the military as a fireman, and Michael is going to be an engineer. He's the quiet, very smart one in the family, smarter one. I would never even attempt to complete his homework for him. So they probably will go in different areas, but since I've had the opportunity to do this, at least this is something that's been, it's an old cliche, but it's a dream come true.
Right on. Well, again, like I said, we have, one more, I'll give a chance for one more call, 707-994-8201, extension 109. Nobody else wants to call in. With that said, thank you so much for coming out, man. We got to let you get back to work because I know you know.
We have briefing at 9 o'clock at work, 9 o'clock at night to 7 in the morning. So
I was gonna ask you about your shift. You have a night shift.
Yes.
Yeah. Right on.
So I'm out and about in the middle of the night and keeping our streets safe.
Lots of coffee, huh?
Occasionally one or two,
Yeah.
but just driving around town's enough of an adrenaline rush for me.
Right.
So.
Right. All right. Well, thank you so much for the call in and for everybody who watched. Thank you so much for being on the show, man.
Thank you so much.
Vote for this guy.
Appreciate
Vote
it.
for him.